I've covered Notebook LM on this channel since 2023, and they recently rolled out some major updates that completely changes the way I use Notebook LM. So I wanted to share those with you in this video. I specifically picked 7 new updates that rolled out in the last couple of months that I think you'll find really useful and practical too. And I also have an example for you at the end that actually is inside of Google Gemini that combines it with Notebook LM in a really nice way. Okay, I'll jump into an existing notebook to show you the very first one. And by the way, if you don't have a paid version of Notebook LM, which is $20 a month, and if you have a Google Workspace account, it comes free with that. It has this section called Featured Notebooks too, and these are pretty useful. This one's created by Google Research, and these work like any other notebook. You could actually interact with it, ask any questions here, and look at all these sources. But right now, let me jump into an existing notebook that I have. And the very first update I want to show you is up here. And one of my favorite workflows that I've shared in other videos was using Google Gemini's deep research, which I think is by far the best deep research agent that's available right now, and then bringing that information as a source. Well, I no longer have to jump between those two apps. They built deep research right inside of Notebook LM, and they have 2 versions of it. Fast research, which is basically web access. It will go find sources for you. And deep research, that's when it takes 10, 20 minutes and it gathers a ton of different information for you on a specific topic. And you could combine that web search with the content from your Google Drive too. So when you do the research, combine it with pulling information as a source from your Google Drive. More and more lately, I've been storing more inside of my Google Drive to make it my central knowledge base. So I could actually jump between ChatGPT and Google Gemini and still have a central knowledge base here that doesn't really get lost inside of one of those chatbots. And when you run fast research or deep research, you'll see this type of information. It pulls in multiple different sources. You could still be selective. That's the whole point of Notebook LM. I wouldn't just say, okay, import all these 7, or in a case of deep research, it might be a whole lot more than that. I will actually look through these. Sometimes I'll go to that web page to make sure I'm importing really clean sources. I want my information in Notebook LM to be grounded on these sources. So I want to make sure I am selective here. So if you don't want to bring all of them in, you could just select the ones you do want to bring in and then import them here, and it will bring them in as sources here on the left side. And when you create a new notebook too, you'll see that front and center. So that's become actually my very first place to find sources. And then I combine those sources with files that I upload, web links or YouTube videos or anything from my Google Drive over here. And if you have the paid accounts, you will get up to 300 sources inside of each individual notebook. With a free account, you get 50. Next is customized video overview. So video overview is one of the best features inside of Notebook LM that generates explainer videos that are grounded entirely on your own sources. But they have a lot of customization options that most people overlook. So if you press the pencil icon next to video overview inside of any notebook that you create, you'll see lots of different options. So I wanted to explain some of these for you. And then you'll see 2 formats. The explainer, that's going to be more longer structured content, or you get this one, the brief bite-sized overview, to help you grasp a concept very quickly. Then you also have visual styles. So the auto select, that's what we had since video overview came out, but now you have lots of different options available. So let's say you want a paper craft style, for example, or whiteboard is actually one of my favorites for doing explainer videos. You will choose that and it will create that type of style video. Then you have this option, what should the AI host focus on? So if you have a notebook like the one I have here, where I have over 50 different sources across different topics, I may want to focus that. So maybe I just want to focus on Google Gemini use case for business instead of other topics I've researched here, like Notebook LM's use case. And then once you generate it, I'll show you a little bit of one I generated here.
Okay, so you're ready to go beyond the basics with Gemini? Let's really level up your skills.
Level 1. It all starts by connecting Gemini right into your Google Apps.
It searches across everything at once, breaking down those pesky information silos.
You just ask a simple question and it finds info buried deep in your files and meetings. You can also create what are called gems, custom versions of Gemini for specific tasks.
And one more thing I wanted to show you is when you do create these, if I go back to the Studio tab, before I create video overview, you can actually decide what sources are being used. It doesn't have to be based on your entire notebook. So if you wanted to generate it based on a select set of sources, let's say in this case, only this source, I could select that. I'll choose this option over here, and it will generate one based on just that one source instead of my entire notebook. The next upgrade inside of Notebook LM is the way they upgraded the report format. So if you click on reports here, you'll see some new formats here and suggested formats that I wanted to explain. And these are all customizable too. Some of these were actually different cards over here in the previous upgrade, but now they're all part of this report format. So under format, you'll see briefing docs. This is one of my favorite all-time ways to use Notebook LM. This typically takes all your sources and gives you a compressed 2-3 page version of it, but you can customize these. So you could describe what type of report you want to create. Blog post is one of their newer options. So this will create an entire blog post, a very nicely formatted blog post from all your sources over here. And you could, again, look at the prompts. This is the system prompt that creates these type of blogs, and then you could customize it to make it your own here. But the best part here is probably this new option, suggested formats, because this is based on your notebook. And again, you could press the pencil icon and change the instruction here, but you'll see usually 4 different options that are very, very useful. And when you click on any of them, it will go ahead and generate the report based on all your sources here. They also have an option for creating your own. So this one is really useful. Let me show you a really interesting way to use this, because I know a lot of people that are not used to creating these type of prompts are not exactly sure what to put here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this here, and I'll just go to Google Gemini, and I could upload that and ask it to help me come up with things to put in that box. I want to create a report in Notebook LM. Can you give me 5 different descriptions I could put in this box to get a custom report? And this will just help you see how those type of instructions are formatted or descriptions are formatted. So this is actually a good one, opposing viewpoints. So you could ask Gemini to continue to give you other options here. And sometimes Gemini actually knows things about you if you've used it for a while. So it'll use its memory and its context here to give you more specific personal information. And in your initial prompt, you could tell it what your notebook is about, so it could tailor it even more for you. And that custom prompt gave me this report here based on all my 55 sources. Now, here's a really interesting use case that I want to show you with this option. I could actually select this amount of text here, and I could go back to Studio, and I could actually create a note from it. And if I want to alter this note in any way or just use it exactly as is, I could do that. And now what I could do is, with that note created, I could actually make that note be a source. So I'm going to convert this note to a source over here. And then what you could do is you could unselect all the sources and only choose that source. And then you could turn it into an audio overview, which is similar to video overview. And you have all kinds of custom settings available too, or a video overview to consume that information. But it's a useful workflow. It actually starts with all your sources turning to a custom report, and only that custom report turning into an audio or video overview. So at this point, you're probably seeing this pattern here that Notebook LM is all about taking your research and turning it into something you could actually use. I want to share a resource that helps you do that even faster. HubSpot put together a free guide called How to Do 10 Hours of Research in 20 Minutes. It shows you how marketers are using Google Gemini and Notebook LM together to speed up their research without losing any quality. So instead of jumping between different tabs, different docs, scattered notes, the guide shows you how to do effective research in Gemini, bringing in everything and organizing it with Notebook LM, helping you summarize it the right way, turning it into audio, video, and reports that you could actually share with your team to consume the information. And my favorite part is the 11 practical application for using Gemini and Notebook LM together. That's one of my favorite all-time combos. This includes full workflows for content creation, marketing strategy, customer research, SEO content optimization, and much more. And with real-world examples you could actually use. If you're already using Notebook LM, this is going to help you get a lot more out of it. And if you're new to Notebook LM, this gives you a really clear system to follow. You could download the guide for free using the link in the description of the video. And thanks for HubSpot for sponsoring this video and creating these resources that I could share with my audience. The next update on my list is infographics. And the infographic option lets you create customized visuals based on your sources. And just like the other examples, you could select all your sources, or in my case, I'm going to select one individual source, which makes it much more effective for an infographic that I could create here with, again, your own customization. So if you click the pencil icon, you could decide what orientation you want. So landscape is just going to be your traditional 16:9 size. But a lot of times you may want to create portrait or square, especially if you're sharing to social platforms that require those type of sizes. And then the level of details. Do you want a lot of details? They have this detail option that has a lot of text. So some people prefer this. And then you could describe the style of the infographic. How many things do you want to include there? Or how do you want the colors and the style to be? In this case, I'm just going to create one without typing anything here so you can see the default style that it creates for you. Now, here's one version that is created for us, and it has a lot of text, but a lot of times these work well on LinkedIn, for example. And from that one source, I actually typed to make the most minimalistic version of it with only one topic. And here is a very simple version that is created for us. And every time you press that tab here, it will create a new version. So this is the standard version that we got that has a little bit less detail than the detailed version. So you could decide which one you want. This actually uses Nano Banana in the background to create these type of graphics that are shareable and downloadable. Now, slide decks is one of the most useful upgrades they've ever rolled out into Notebook LM. And when you're doing research, a lot of times you're doing research to share with people. You have to share with your team or any business partner you have. Well, this helps you do that in a really effective way. This option right here, this dedicated option for slide presentations, will create that for you. So I'm going to press the pencil icon, and they have two different styles. They have the detail style, which this is going to have quite a bit of details in each slide with a lot of text, or the presenter style, which is the one I like. This is clean. The visual slides have the key talking points, but not everything you need to say. So this is useful, especially if you know the presentation here. And here you could describe what you want covered, who you're talking to, your audience here, and even the style of the slideshow presentation. In this case, let me show you one that's just the default version here. And I'll generate that. Again, remember, if you only have one source selected, it's going to use that one source. But when it does get created, it'll show you how many sources were used. So you could do all the sources, in this case 55, which would be very confusing for making an infographic. Or in this case, you could select one or two, especially for the slide deck. This is a good source that I'm turning into a slide deck here to share with my team. And here's what that ends up looking like. These are all the different slides that is created for us here. In this case, let's see, about 13 different slides. And you could also press play here and look at it in slideshow format, which is great for presenting this right out of Notebook LM. And if you want to download this, these are fully downloadable here. And it downloads them in PDF format like this that you could store or share, or even use it as a source inside of another notebook. That brings us to the very next one next to it, called data tables. Now, data tables will organize your information in a different way in data tables. And it doesn't have to be just sources that are number based. They'll do that with any type of source. So I actually created one using all the different sources in this notebook. And these are also, like all these other ones, customizable. So you could try to type things in on how you want things organized. In this case, it's asking you to use columns with titles and authors and key results, but you don't have to do that. It will generate something without you typing something. And just like the rest of these options, you could type in any information you want in the custom box, like anything that you want stored in a specific column or a specific row. It will try to do that here. And you'll get this type of result here. This was from my entire sources here, and you could do this with individual sources. And the nice thing is, again, we're inside of a Google product. So this option will export it directly to Google Sheets. And inside of Google Sheets, you could format anything that you want. Google Sheets also has the power of Gemini here, so you could interact with this document here now inside of Google Sheets to pull in more information, add formulas, or anything else you want. Okay, let me show you this next one, and then we'll jump into Google Gemini for that bonus one I mentioned in the beginning. Sharing your notebook also got some really useful upgrades. So I'm gonna press share up here, especially if you have a paid account or if you have this inside of Google Workspace. That's one of the main reasons you may wanna upgrade, for sharing, and also analytics, where you could see how people are viewing this notebook here. But if I share it, here are some really useful options they've added. So they've added a welcome note. Add a welcome note to a user, so when they open the notebook, they will see this welcome note. So I could paste a welcome note. You have up to 500 characters here for that. But the more useful options here, which are inside of pretty much any Google product, are these right here. Notebook access, you could keep it to restricted. So only if you type someone's email up here, they will get an invite and they'll be able to join. Or you could do anyone with a link. In this case, I'll do anyone with a link. And here's the more useful part. you could actually give it access to the full notebook so they could see all your sources, for example, or the chat only option, which is really useful, and you could preview that. The chat only option looks like this. They could literally chat with your notebook, but they won't see any of your sources. You could keep those private. That comes in really handy. And when someone shares that with you, this is my other account here I jump into. This was shared through a public link. I could see all the sources because I gave it full notebook access. I could chat with all these sources. I could chat with individual sources, and I could see all the different things that were created using all the studio options. And let me show you this bonus here that's actually inside of Google Gemini. And Google Gemini allows you to bring in things from NotebookLM. So if I select the plus sign here and I choose NotebookLM here, it pulls in all kinds of different notebooks in that Google account. So if I select the one we've been working on here and add it, I could use Gemini to interact with it. But here's something we didn't have inside of NotebookLM. I could actually use more powerful models here. I could decide to choose the fast model, the thinking model, or if I have a paid version, the pro model. Sometimes that is also included with limited use in the free accounts too. And then on top of that, I have access to other useful tools that are only available inside of Gemini, like Canvas mode here. So I'm gonna ask it to write a blog using Canvas. So now I've combined my entire 56 source notebook, the power of the pro model of Gemini, and Canvas mode inside of Gemini to get something really, really useful. And if you haven't used Canvas mode before, Canvas mode can easily make alterations to anything you write. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer. It has all these options for changing the tone really easily without having to prompt it. And you could also format it. And on top of that, inside of Gemini now, I have some of those things that were inside of Google LM, like infographics, or this new option inside of Gemini only, where I could turn this blog now into a web page. And in a few minutes, we got this really nice looking web page here, again, from our Notebook LM sources. And this also is fully shareable using this sharing option here inside of Google Gemini. Now, if you want to dive deeper, we have an entire education platform called Skill Leap. There we cover the top AI tools. I have an entire Notebook LM course. I'm actually updating that right now with all these new updates, a Gemini course, AI agent courses, and all of those are under one place and under one subscription. And I have a 7-day free trial. We have 6 instructors. I want to make sure it's a good fit for you. You could watch as much as you want for free, download any resources for free, talk to us in the community. And then if it's a good fit, you could pay month to month, or we have a yearly option that's more discounted. And I'll link that in the description with all the other resources. And I recently also made a video covering all the different Google AI tools all in one video. So I'll link that video over here too.